Today we need to get into people saying that there is a lot of concern with Jin being a torchbearer and also rejecting the ceasefire. At least this is what people are saying, and then being attacked over this. And then we finally have Jin speaking up about an issue, and then we have legal action being taken. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. There's a lot going on with legal action. It seems like the label is taking a lot of legal action recently. This is good to a certain degree because I think definitely some people need to be told to stop doing something. And a lot of circumstances, I think the court or the police, they don't really understand how bad these things can get, especially given how Kpop is. They don't understand that if someone is leaving a death threat online, it doesn't just stop there. It can result in the person actually going up to the celebrity and in concert and throwing a brick at them. So before I get too much into this, let me give some backstory on what's going on and fill you in before you're super confused, because I like to jump into the middle of things. So not too long ago, the label, BTS's label, actually reached out to the US courts to see if they can get information behind people using their Twitter accounts that were leaving really bad messages. So specific information like where they live, where they're from, all that sort of stuff. And even get like their IP address so officers can track down whoever is leaving those awful messages. Now these awful messages weren't just things that were like, oh, I don't like their music or they're ugly or whatever. Those would not be considered things you can take legal action against. And things that would be purposely defamatory towards the artist were things that were more like, so the artist is doing this bad thing and then saying it as a fact. So to me, it would have set the precedent for the entire country and anyone who has a Twitter account or has a social media account that leaving a bad message for anyone is bad. And it would set this precedent that people behind the screen shouldn't be leaving bad messages. And if they do, they should expect to get legal action taken on them. However, the label filed to get that information and filed for Twitter to try to hand it over. And I believe then the court said that this was an abuse of power and abuse of the legal system. Now, some artists actually kill themselves over the bullying that happens on Twitter and other platforms. So in my opinion, this is not an abuse of the legal system. This sets a precedent that cyberbullying should not be allowed. And the only reason why cyberbullying is even allowed is because people realize that those big corporations or these big celebrities can't take legal action on them. With other people saying that this was the label's attempt to try to scare people into stop leaving hate comments. But the hate comments aren't just as simple as I said, oh, they're bad singers or whatever. It's like comments that had led people to actually getting attacked, hit, or just the spread of really bad false information. And especially in K-pop, it's not really hard to make an idol look bad. They just have to say that they were lip syncing, when the audio on the TV station maybe just didn't line up exactly, when the idol was moving their mouth, and then say that they're actually not singing, and that could lead into a huge reduction in ticket sales. It also get them to get kicked off of Korean TV networks. Also claims like chart manipulation, and those things have really big effects on the artists in Korea. So defamatory statements can only be taken legal action if the said statement has resulted in the artist losing money. And in this case, I believe that the artist is being taken off TV or whatever that would cause them to lose money. So this is interesting. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. And it also, as I said, sets a precedent, because when something is actually taken legal action, if it's a new case, a new law will then be made to support that case. And so now a new law might be that you can't bully people online and you can go to jail or something like that. But it looks like this isn't happening. Now, if you've been involved in the BTS community for a little while, you might know that one of the members, one of the eldest of the group, Jin, is actually someone who is very much in love with acting. And that's what he joined the label for. And that's what he initially wanted to be when he started. So he had always talked about wanting to be an actor. He's obviously very handsome, so he could be an actor. And that is something that I think he studied for a really long time. Like, I think he had formal training in that. So I think a lot of people wanted that to be something that he pursued. And then also hearing that that's something that he studied and probably liked, that he would want to pursue this as well, then the community tends to push that because they want to see him happy. And also I think that they're very curious to see if he would actually ever be in a drama or movie. Jin recently went on Weverse after the military to connect with some of the community over there, and a lot of people are asking a lot of questions like what he has in store for everyone, and is he making music? He said he actually is making something but won't release it yet because Jimin's album has just come out. So he wants to kind of wait to not overlap with Jimin's album and let Jimin have his moment. So this is how you can tell that they actually love each other, because if they didn't, they would just release music all together at once and not really care about what the other members is doing. The fact of the matter is, they do care about what the other members are doing, and they don't want to steal the spotlight from them. Now, someone asked a question, and this became really controversial online, and people were actually very upset about this, and I totally understand why. But someone asked if Jin was ever going to pursue acting, or as this person was waiting for Jin to pursue acting. Jin then responded kind of briefly and in just one sentence to say that he has no plans of acting, and that he is actually very sorry. This is very important to note because I think a lot of people in the community wanted him to act because they thought that's what he wanted, because he studied it. And because of all those things, of course, we would think that he would want to do acting. And I think a lot of us think that he wants to do acting more than he wants to do music or become a pop star. But here's the thing, these things change, and people kind of prioritize different things and kind of want different things. I can give an example of myself, if this is an example that would make a lot more sense. I wanted to be an actor. That's kind of what I was going for. I ended up doing social media, doing the news, talking about this. I ended up realizing that I actually like this more than I would have ever liked acting. I like the whole process of creating the video, writing, doing the research, and producing it, putting it out. I like all of this more than I think I would just like the process of being an actor. So yeah, one day I could pursue acting if I wanted to do that, and I want to take a break from this, but I don't really want to do that right now. And even though I wanted to initially start to act, it doesn't mean that because I found something else, I don't actually love that thing more now because I do. And so I imagine that that's how Jin feels, where he's done music for so long, that's what he's used to, that's what he likes to do, and now this idea of acting might even feel a bit daunting because yes, he would get a lot of opportunities just for being him, being as successful as he is, and being as already famous as he is. He would still have to essentially start from the bottom up, though, in some capacity. Of course, there is a lot of news about him recently, and it's very good to hear because it was believed that he would be the torchbearer for the Olympics. Now, this is a huge feat. This is a big deal. They don't typically pick someone to be a torchbearer unless it's someone who's very established in the industry and someone who represents their country or whoever very well. So obviously Jin would be someone that represents Korea very well. And quite honestly, they probably would have picked any of the members of BTS, but Jin is out right now. And so he is also the eldest, and it makes sense for it to be him. There were a lot of people that were very angry about this because currently the Olympics is also allowing Israel to participate in this. And the Olympics is supposed to be this fun thing. It's supposed to be a global stage where people get together, but there's just so much happening over there that people can't seem to ignore what's going on over there for a silly game that's happening. And I don't mean to call the Olympics a silly game, but it is a game compared to people dying. It would be considered silly too. So a lot of people are actually saying that online, and to a certain degree, I actually agree. If we're going to put dying people in an equation, but then the Olympics are mandatory, I would say that it's not. So if there are a lot of conflicts going on, I can understand why people are protesting for at least the Olympics to not have conflict. Now, people are upset because Jin has never come out and addressed this, and there's this whole movement that has been very against what Israel is doing, and so they want to fight back against that, and they basically said that Jin has never addressed it, and now he is the torchbearer, and he is essentially supporting the Israel movement. Just because he hasn't opened his mouth and specifically talked about the situation doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't support it, and it definitely doesn't mean that he supports a genocide and all that sort of stuff, because he might not be able to talk about it. Korea isn't a place where you can just be very openly political. A lot of what you may say has to be very controlled and has to be very pro-government. I understand it's a democracy over there, but there is an extent in which you can say things. In most Asian countries and cultures, it is seen as blasphemy to insult your elders and your leaders. Politics is, of course, things that people talk about, but if it comes to hating a complete nation of people, and especially a situation that he might not be as familiar with, then he should not be the one talking about it, and nor should he make any comments. Him coming out and saying he's pro-Palestine, or even if he were to come out and say that he's pro-Israel, either way he's getting backlash. He's going to lose a good chunk of people from his audience. There isn't a right answer here, because if he says he's pro-Palestine, the Israeli people are going to be upset too, because they don't believe they're committing genocide, and I don't think that they are either. But they're going to believe that now Jin believes that they are. And then obviously if he picks the other one, he's going to lose a good chunk of his audience for obvious reasons as well. People were scared for his safety, wondering if he was going to get attacked or hit on the street. As of right now, I think he is fine. But there is definitely a concern that I can see if he is still not speaking up about it. Let's see how things play out. I hope for his safety and everyone's safety. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. A link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.